Greetings, barbecue family. Welcome to the Backyard Smokemaster Barbecue Podcast. I'm your host, Kenyatta Robinson. Happy Friday to you. First, I'd like to take a moment and welcome everyone tuning in on either YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Glad to have you here and aboard. Feel free to leave comments. We love to make this interactive, so definitely want to hear from you. So don't be shy. Please leave your comments. I'd like to give a shout out to tonight's moderator, my daughter Erin, who's moderating from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So for tonight's episode, we're going to talk about how to smoke pork belly burnt ends. And I chose this comment, and if you tuned in to last week's episode, you may have heard us talking about this. At that point, I was getting ready to record the next video for the YouTube channel, which is going to be a comparison video. We're actually editing it right now. It's a comparison video comparing different kinds of pecan pellets. There's a company that I became aware of called Smokin' Pecans, and they provided me with sampling of their product. And what's interesting about them and what caught my attention is that their pecans are made entirely from pecan shells. So I wanted to see how their pellets compared to kind of the traditional pellets that you normally buy at the store, like pellets made by Traeger or Bear Mountain, Lumberjack. Those are always made from like a compressed sawdust. So I wanted to do a comparison video. And in order to do that, we decided to do smoked pork belly burnt ends. So we're looking at how how they compared being smoked with the Smokin' Pecan pellets and the Traeger pellets. Oh, hi, Barbecue by Biggs. How's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Going well. Thank you so much for tuning in. So let's go ahead, Erin. Let's get started. Why don't you pull up the slides and we'll start to go through this recipe for how to smoke pork belly burnt ends. And you know, it's a three-step process. So basically, let's go to the next slide. We've got a smoking phase, followed by a tenderizing phase, and then a glaze phase. So generally what I'd like to do for this recipe is you want to just have a smoker where you can hold the temperature at about 250 degrees. Doesn't have to, you don't have to keep it right at 250 throughout the cook. And you can do this with any type of smoker. It could be a charcoal-based smoker, a pellet smoker, stick burner. If you can keep your average temperature around 250, you'll be good. So first step, get your smoker set up. And then I like to use woods that pair well with pork. So in this case, that would be like cherry, apple, hickory, or oak. For those of you who are watching, go ahead and put it in the comments if you have a favorite wood type to use when you're smoking pork. We've got correctional officer for lockdown. I love that handle. Good evening, everyone. Best barbecue wishes and greetings. All right, thank you for tuning in. Can I use an old country gravity fed smoker? Absolutely. I've never cooked with a gravity fed smoker, but from what I know about them, I think they're a lot like pellet smokers in that they do have an electronic thermostat control, I believe, that will allow you to punch up the temperature that you want, and then, it'll do the work for you of making adjustments up or down to basically keep your temperature around 250. So absolutely, you can use an old country gravity fed smoker. But let me know. What I don't know, I know that they have. Well, let me know about, the type of fuel. Like, do they have different varieties of fuel? If I'm thinking of this correctly, I thought that those had like wood pucks, I think they call them. And I'm guessing that there's different types of pucks that you can buy, like pecan or cherry. Let me know if I'm on the right track about that. But yeah, you should be able to use any outdoor cooker, even a grill, even a kettle grill. If you have a kettle grill, if you can keep that average temperature around 250, you'll be fine. So set up your smoker, and he says charcoal based and ball valve controlled. Okay, so there's a ball valve, and I'm guessing that is how you moderate the temperature. So you're controlling the temperature by making adjustments with the ball valve, opening it up wider to increase the temperature, and closing the ball valve down to lower the temperature. I think I'm guessing that's how that works. So let me know if I'm not saying that correctly. Barbecue by Big says, yes, it will work. All right. So the next step we're going to do while we're getting our smoker up to temperature, you should have your pork belly. Basically, what I like to do is to cut the belly into 1.5-inch squares. And I like to use a cooking rack like the one that we see here in the photograph. What I like about this type of cooking rack is that it allows the smoke to get in on all sides. It's got you'll be able to, the smoke will rise up and, enter from the bottom, from the sides, over the top. So that's why I like a rack like this. Plus, it also makes it easier to, transport your pork bellies to and from the smoker as well. So after I slice them into 1.5-inch squares, the next thing I want to do is I want to take that cooking rack and spray it really good with Pam or some type of vegetable oil. Because what will happen is if you don't spray it, the pork bellies will stick. They'll stick to the rack. But if you spray it really good, they'll slide right out of there when you're ready for the next step. So next, what we're going to do after we have gotten our cooking rack together, next we're going to season the bellies. Now I like to use something that kind of has a sweet undertone. So I've always liked to use Killer Hog's The Barbecue Rub. But you can use whatever rub you want. You can create your own rub. Like I'm thinking Meat Church. Meat Church has some good rubs. The name is escaping me. Like honey, I think it's like honey hog rub, I think is what it's called. I think that would be a good one as well. But get a good rub with some sweet undertones. What I also like about the barbecue rub is the color. I think the color really complements the bellies as well. So you want to get, each cube seasoned with your rub, and then you position them in the rack. Get that rack out onto your smoker once it's come up to temperature. And then we're just going to let them smoke for about 2 hours. If you can keep your temperature around 250, no need to really peek at them or anything. Just let them go. Let them go for a couple of hours. Let's go to the next slide, Aaron. So after 2 hours, the next step is to go into the tenderizing phase. So this is, at this point, your bellies are going to have a nice mahogany color to them. But for this phase, what we're really going to do now is we're going to make them get really tender, but then we're also going to add some more flavors. We're going to layer on some more flavor. So at this point, I'm going to transfer those bellies from that cooking rack that we started with and put them in an aluminum pan. And then in the pan, we're going to add some things that are just going to level up these bellies. So you see in the photo, I took a stick of butter and sliced it into pats of butter and placed it all around the top of the bellies. And then I take like a good heaping handful of brown sugar and just sprinkle them all over the top of the bellies. And then the last thing is I'm going to drizzle it all over the top with honey. So we're adding a lot of sweetness, to our bellies for this stage. And to really get them tender, take a sheet of aluminum foil and place it over the top of your bellies, seal it really tight, and then return it back to the smoker for another 2 hours, again, keeping it at about 250 degrees. Did we get any comments about anybody's favorite woods, wood that they like to smoke with, especially for pork, or just in general? Do you guys have like a go-to wood, that you like to go with? I know, especially if you're cooking with a stick burner, it could be, what's readily available in your area. Like you might live someplace where, hickory is readily available, so maybe that's all you smoke with, or it could be pecan wood. Cool thing about when you are smoking with charcoal, usually you can get different types of wood chunks, and you have an easier time picking a bigger variety. So it could be, cherry or apple, hickory, oak. So let me know if you guys have any favorite go-tos in terms of your wood. So after those 2 hours, we've been tenderizing. The next step is really the last step, is we're gonna get them glazed. So we can go to the next slide. So we're gonna make the glaze. So actually, before that 2 hours is up, about 1.5 hours into phase 2 is when I would recommend actually making the glaze. So this is actually going to be, you're going to do this, you can do this in your kitchen, on your stove, get a small pot together. And basically we're just going to combine, some ingredients, get a nice sweet barbecue sauce. I also like Killer Hogs, the barbecue sauce, but if you don't have that, another one that I find that is really good and really similar to the barbecue sauce is Blues Hog. They have a really good kind of sweet barbecue sauce that I find is easy to get at hardware stores like Ace Hardware in their barbecue section. So you want their original, the original one that they have. I think they make 3 different types of barbecue sauce, but it's their original sauce is really good. And that goes really good with this recipe. So we're going to combine a sweet barbecue sauce with some apple juice, apple jelly, also might be known as apple butter. You might find it there in your local store. Get them all together in a small pot, mix them well, combine it. and then just let it simmer over low heat for about 15-20 minutes. Just keep an eye on it, stir it occasionally. If it gets too hot, like if it's really bubbling, go ahead and remove it from the heat. But you just want to let it simmer, at a nice medium low is probably good enough. And then after the 2 hours are up, so we're going to go retrieve our pork bellies in the aluminum pan, retrieve it from the smoker. And next, what we want to do is you want to drain that liquid from the pan. So be really careful when you peel back that aluminum foil, because it's going to be, that steam coming out is going to be really hot. So just be careful, open it slowly, and then carefully just pour out, whatever liquid is in that pan. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to take that glaze that we put together and drizzle it over the top of the bellies. And then the last step is we just want to let the glaze that we created, we want to let it set. So we're going to return it back to the smoker for about 15 minutes. And then, once that time is up, remove it from the smoker, let it cool off, maybe, 5-10 minutes. And, you're going to have a fantastic smoked pork belly burnt in. And I probably should have started, in case you're not familiar with, with what a pork belly is or what it tastes like. Basically, that's where your bacon comes from. And I know that what my wife loves about them, and this is probably one of the things that I smoke that's amongst her favorites, it's like little bacon pillows, because they're those nice thick squares of bacon, and they're going to be really tender, melt in your mouth good, and you kind of get that natural saltiness from the bacon flavor combined with all that sweetness that we layered on throughout the cook, and it's just a fantastic dish. So, Super Bowl is coming up. P3AK 930 says pork belly will be purchased tomorrow for a cook. Yeah, and then if you want to do this, break this out for the Super Bowl. This would be a great appetizer, that will wow your guests. So if we go to the next slide, here just to recap, we've got all the ingredients here. And if you guys are interested, if you'd like to get a copy of this recipe, like if you're going to go out and get your pork belly and you want to try and make this, you can get this recipe. Just go to backyardsmokemaster.com/pork belly, and we'll send a copy of this deck to you, and then you'll have it to make this easier in case you wanted to give this a shot. So just to recap again, 3 simple phases. It is going to take a little bit of time. The smoking phase and the tenderizing phase, both about 2 hours each. We want to keep our smoker at an average temperature of about 250. But, if you go a little bit over, that's okay. If you go up to like 275, just means that you might not need to have it out there for 2 hours. Maybe it's closer to an hour and 45 minutes if your average temperature is up around 275. And then the same is true if you can only get your smoker up to around 225, then it might take a little bit longer. Just factor that in. Don't drive yourself nuts over trying to keep that temperature exactly at a certain point. Again, we're just talking about having an average temperature. So again, we've got our smoking phase, followed by the tenderizing phase, where we're going to layer on some more flavor. And then the last 15 minutes, we're going to finish it off with the glazing phase. Really easy to put the glaze together. And again, I mean, as far as the equipment, any smoker or grill that you have that you can keep your temperature around 250. So that can be pellet smoker, charcoal based smoker, could be a kettle grill, could be a stick burner. You can do this on whatever outdoor equipment that you have. Get yourself a sharp knife that will make it easier to, prepare the pork belly, cut that slab into the little 1.5-inch squares, a nice cooking rack that will hopefully allow smoke to get through, an aluminum pan, aluminum foil, small pot, and these other ingredients, and you'll be good to go. So again, if you'd like to get a copy, just go ahead, reach out to us at backyardsmokemaster.com/pork belly. And of course, if you want more information about barbecue, just go ahead, visit the website, backyardsmokemaster.com. All right. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I was just finally looking at some messages that Erin sent to me. Of course, I never see them when she first posts them. Something about the audio, but she says that it's fine now. So hopefully everything came through nice and clear. All right, guys. So, put it in the comments if you've got any questions about this recipe, or if there's something else that you guys would like to talk about while we're still together here on this Friday evening. If you have questions about favorite, again, any type of wood that you like to use for smoking, or if there's a particular grill or smoker that you're thinking about, feel free to let us know. But yeah, again, just go ahead, give this recipe a shot. Also, put it in the comments, with the Super Bowl coming up, what are you planning to smoke, for the big game? Have you already made any decisions? Maybe you're thinking about doing, I don't know, baby back ribs, or it's a great time. I think, it's a great opportunity to get out, get back out there and get something on the smoker. And then hopefully you'll be able to cook for a pretty good sized crowd. So I know I'm already starting to think about, what I want to do. I got some beef ribs in my fridge that I still need to get to. So I'm either going to do those either this weekend or maybe next weekend. But I'm gonna have to narrow that down, figure out what I wanna do for the Super Bowl. Well, all right, guys. Well, looks like not really seeing any other comments coming through, but we will be here again next Friday, same time. You can catch us here on Facebook, YouTube, also on Twitter. And then wherever you listen to podcasts, the audio version, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast streaming player. All right. Correctional Officer Lockdown. I see we have a comment. He says, you have a great program and platform. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And we're really, trying to just be more consistent, and trying to stick to the schedule, and just wanting to inspire folks to either, break out their grill or smoker that they've had, maybe they haven't been using on a regular basis, or if you're just thinking about getting into barbecue, hopefully we can inspire some folks to do that. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So again, this is Kenyatta Robinson. Thanking you guys for tuning in. Appreciate the support. Feel free to tell a friend about us. Like I said, we're going to be here on Friday evening, same time. And then also check us out on the Backyard Smokemaster Barbecue YouTube channel, and then also the website backyardsmokemaster.com. So again, this is Kenyatta Robinson signing off. Thank you for tuning in. Take care. Have a great weekend, and I will hopefully talk to you guys soon.